Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and in one of the more surprising turn of events so far this Call of Duty League season, Dallas Empire, the reigning world champions, are nowhere near the level we expected them to be. Remarkable roster change of course went down just a couple of weeks ago, with them placing outside the top 4 for the first time in their franchise history this past weekend. Do they need another roster change? What roster change could they even possibly make? Certainly some of the pros believe that should be the case. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. These then the placings for this final weekend, $500,000 of course awarded. And Dallas Empire sit here at 7th to 8th in this tournament, only $10,000 earned over the course of it. That is something which is pretty rare for the Dallas Empire as an organization. Every single tournament last season they played, they came at least top 4. Early on I think they had a lot of top 4s. Then of course towards the end they started actually winning events. They won the World Championship of course last season in Modern Warfare, if you guys are new to the scene. But well, this year so far they'd also just about placed decent. I mean, of course they come top 2 at the first major, top 3 at the second major. They'd always it kind of seemed a little bit suspect in their group play, but they'd always show up for the major. This time, since dropping Huke, nowhere near the level. Top 8, I'm pretty sure that since dropping Huke they've been 3-0'd 4 times, which is far more than they got 3-0 this entire season long when Huke was on the team. So they have not been looking good by any means. And the question is for them really, the fact that they sold Huke to the Dallas, or to the Los Angeles Thieves, sorry, is that they really don't have a backup plan right now. And well, can I see this team at its present time winning the World Championship on current form? I think that is very difficult to say, especially because, okay, Dallas Empire right now in 3rd. The majority of the season they've been in 2nd, so Sublime is overtaking Empire. And of course Empire are not in danger of anything and not making the World Championship, but still a little bit questionable, I think, if you are Dallas right now. You don't want to be falling down these standings significantly, or your seeding for the major is going to be pretty tough, and you're going to be playing good teams early on. And with Dallas looking like how they are right now, that is well, not going to be something which is going to be easy to overcome by any means. So of course this past weekend they lost to OpTic Chicago in the end in a pretty brutal affair. Like, the slaying in this match was just out of control, and that has been the question really for the Dallas Empire. Shotzzy is playing phenomenal Call of Duty with Huke now on the team. Where is the slaying power in your SMG line? It's really all comes down to Shotzzy right now. ILLey is nowhere been the levels that I think he needs to be at for this team to be competitive, and at the same time the ARs have also been very suspect indeed. OpTic or even Crimsix even had a very difficult stage by his standards. I think the first couple of stages statistically he was pretty damn good. This stage he I think was maybe one of the worst ARs statistically performing, and FeLo also is never going to be someone who's going to absolutely light the world on fire. So from the slaying perspective they were just nowhere near what OpTic were putting up, especially when Dashy's dropping 35 in 13 and yeah, getting 3-0'd again. Shotzzy really to me has been the only shining star on this team. As of late Shotzzy's continued to get incredibly good, or to get significantly better than he was before. This one versus of course OpTic kind of gifted this to him, for especially this skill against Envoy right here. But look, at the end of the day Shotzzy's been no doubt the most talented player on the team I think right now, and since Huke's gone he's needed to step up quite significantly. He has done so, but the rest of his team if anything have actually got worse since Huke's departed, which obviously not what they were looking for. Now top 8 of this tournament is pretty tragic to be honest for the Dallas Empire guys. Of course they had a tough bracket playing against OpTic right here, but a 3-0 defeat to OpTic. Of course there were some significant complaints coming out of Crimsix, but this was the slaying that we saw right here. I mean, look how much they got outslayed by. I'm not sure, I guess we can tally this up right here. So 26-31, they got outslayed by 69 kills. That is absolutely outrageous stuff over the course of a series. FeLo with a 0.8, Crim with a 0.75, ILLey with a 0.5, Shotzzy with a 0.8. I mean, they just couldn't get anything going in this series. And of course there were some significant complaints from Crimsix coming out as a result. You know, some of the issues that they had with the restarts and the tech issues that I had. But look, at the end of the day, it's not necessarily the reason why, well, Crimsix and co lost this series, and they need to have some significant questions to be asked, right? Because now you're at pretty much crunch time of the season. Stage 3 is over. This is where, in an ideal world, you have your roster set, you're looking relatively solid, you're either on an upward trajectory like OpTic are, or you're a team that's obviously proved that they can be great in the past, and they want to do something different, or they've made a recent change, and they're trying to switch things up. A lot of teams right now probably considering changes because of the fact that the World Championship is not coming up in too long by any means. Dallas Empire are in a relatively comfortable position in the sense of the CDL points. They don't have to worry too much about not making the World Championship, but at the end of the day, Crimsix's intention here is to win the World Championship again. He's a winner for a reason, and well, he obviously wants to win champs. And this team, to me, right now, I just cannot see this team of 4 ever having a chance really to win the World Championship, given the league is as competitive as it is. And I said that, well, before this major even started, now they've placed top 8, you kind of see that, well, playing out, I believe, in reality. reality. And there was certainly some discussion on the flank a couple of days ago with regard to it. There's also some interesting things. I'll play a clip maybe on screen for you guys at the end of the video where Zuma talks about the fact that Rambo Ray is going to be coming on, I think, the flank maybe on a Wednesday or something this week to discuss everything that went down with the Huke situation and why that went down. So that'll be, well, very interesting to watch as well. But certainly some discussion of what Dallas Empire have to do to improve because it's not looking good.
I don't even know if they do on paper have the talent right now. Like, let's be brutally honest about their team. Shotzzy is by far no. Let's break it down.
Well, I know where you're going with this.
Shotzzy is by far and away the best player on the team right now.
Yeah,
not even close.
Yeah.
Right. Let's be honest about Crim. He had a couple of weeks early on the season, but if you look at his stats overall the last 2 stages, it's been really bad. He's near the bottom 2 or 3 in terms of ARs, in terms of a lot of key stats. It's really making it very tricky. ILLey has struggled without Huke on the team, and I'm still not convinced that he's really going to put up the slang you need as a second sub player, so they've got to figure that out. And I like what they bring from FeLo. He's going to bring comms and good teammate vibes, but he's not a mega plus player either. And he's had his struggles in this stage. So I think overall, skill-wise, they've taken a big step back from the team when they had Huke, and they've got to try and make that back with teamwork, which they don't have right now.
I feel like ILLey was struggling even when Huke was on the roster.
This roster.
I also don't want to be like a dick and sound like I just lost faith in half of the roster, but I don't think one change is going to be enough to make this team compete with FaZe and Toronto's and even out New York. You look at these teams, these top 3 teams right now, Toronto, New York, and FaZe, and every single player on that team is slaying. They all have pop-off games, every single one of them, right? You're not going to get that from the current Dallas roster. I don't care if they pick up somebody that's improves their teamwork. These top 3 teams are stacked with talent, and they are all providing and performing in every single matches. They need to probably make multiple changes. I feel bad saying that because I know that's the majority of the champs roster from last year, but being brutally honest, I think it's true.
Sometimes the magic runs out. As what it is.
Yep.
Damn, that's kind of sad, bro. Sometimes the magic just runs out, man.
Now, one of the big question marks to me is who did Dallas Empire actually get if they did want to make a change? One of the other teams that have been struggling as of late, and of course they've got about 10 days or so until the next stage starts when they actually have some opportunity to make some changes. They can pretty much make changes whenever they like up until the end of stage 4, I believe, and then the rosters before stage 5 are then locked. So they pretty much have a month and a little bit to make changes if teams want to make changes here before the World Championship. And well, what opportunities do they have? If you're a team like the Dallas Empire, I kind of doubt they're going to be getting too many players from the challenger scene. I'm not necessarily sure that Crimsix wants to go down that route. Maybe he does, but of course, well, Sib would be a guy to talk about, but Crim and Sib have certainly had their disagreements, as I'm pretty sure we talked about on the channel a couple of months ago. In 8, they certainly did not have the best time playing alongside each other, so I'm not necessarily sure the team wants to go down that direction, but at the same time, if you're going to make a change, what other organizations in the league actually are in a position to potentially do so? Now, okay, Mutineers is a potential option because they obviously have a lot of talent on their team. We can see these rosters right here. Mutineers have also been one of the teams that's been underperforming so far. They may consider a change needs to be made, especially because, I mean, Havoc I guess he's been doing his job, but at the same time, Havoc and Slack statistically, really not too much difference. Neptune's been solid for them. He's had his moments, certainly. And Awakening and Skies are the 2 players which sometimes you get some great form out of these guys, sometimes you don't. And there has been some questions raised. Maybe the fact that Mutineers need to make some roster changes with that core AR duo of Awakening and Skies. Could you see a world in which Awakening actually gets traded to the Dallas Empire? I'm not really sure who Mutineers would get in return, because I'm pretty sure what Parasite's getting at right there is, look, if you are going to make a change with Dallas, it needs to be a 2-person change. I think I probably would agree with that, right? Just gut this entire team and try and build it again from scratch, because without Huke, I just don't see if this is actually going to work. But Crim and Shotzzy obviously have to stay. There's going to be 2. You're not getting rid of Huke and then dropping another, franchise-esque player. It's just not going to happen. So Crim and Shotzzy are going to be there for sure. ILLey has been questionable. FeLo has been, obviously, he hasn't been superb since they joined. So maybe you're thinking about, all right, can we bring in Awakening potentially? Who else do we get, though? I'm not really sure. Do we want to keep Shotzzy and ILLey as our SMG duo? Just a lot of questions for Dallas Empire to answer, but right now they're not performing anywhere near the level that they need to be. And obviously there is some talent in the Challengers region. There's no doubt about that. Other teams have done well to get that over the line, but at the end of the day, Dallas don't even have a substitute right now. So are they potentially doomed for the rest of the season? I'm not really sure. This team has has incredible amounts of talent, there's no doubt about that. But as Ben says, right, there is the talent actually there in theory, because yes, Shotzzy and ILLey, I mean, the ceilings of these players is no doubt very good, but you look at them compared to some of the other teams in the league and you're like, well, hang on a second, how good actually is it realistically? Because last season, Shotzzy, ILLey, I mean, of course, you had Clayster was there as well, you had Huke there as well, and now losing Huke, I mean, with Clayster gone, I mean, really, it's only Shotzzy who has the potential to drop massive numbers in the series. The rest of the guys, how often do they actually drop, 30 and 20 in a hardpoint? It doesn't really happen. And with no one on their substitute bench to actually back them up here in this situation, I think they do find themselves in a very tough spot to the Dallas Empire. What could they even do right now? I feel like changes have to happen if they want an opportunity, right? And as well, Awakening says right here, he's not particularly happy with it. Now, yes, other teams have turned it around. OpTic have certainly turned it around, as we talked about earlier today, these last several days. But I think that the level of talent on that team is probably somewhat different to what we now have here on the Dallas Empire with this new lineup with FeLo in the team. Obviously, FeLo's had a difficult time since joining the squad. I mean, well, you can't really blame him for the situation that he finds himself in with the whole thing going down with Huke. Maybe we'll find out more about that over the coming days. But very interesting to see. And well, just wanted to talk about this before we end the video, actually, with regard to the whole idea about tactical pauses. We saw this past weekend in the Dallas Empire versus OpTic Chicago series in the Search and Destroy. A tactical pause, not a tactical pause, but a pause was implemented. And Crim wasn't happy about it, right? Because FeLo ended up getting kicked out of the game, or I think he got scanner repair or something. He got frozen still in his tracks. Envoy took him down. Dallas Empire still won the round, but of course when FeLo rejoined, he rejoined at 0-0 in terms of kills and deaths. Therefore, there was no way to determine the round 11 in the way that it would typically be done. Now, still, even if you restarted the game, like, it wouldn't exactly make a difference in that sense either, because it wouldn't even be round 11, it would just keep swapping sides if it did all go down to the line. So certainly still a step in the right direction to have the pause feature. Wasn't exactly perfect, and as Joey Nubsy says, I'm actually so conflicted right now. I'm obviously happy there's a pause feature, but wow, it's frustrating that it was just put in, but obviously still a step in the right direction. And as EasyMax says, thought it was an interesting idea. So hear me out, tactical pauses. Could you have, as Ben Sim says right here, S&D only. Each team gets one tactical pause throughout the map. If you want to take a pause, talk with your coach or something like that. But well, Methods isn't particularly happy about it. Absolutely not. And Jacob as well, absolutely not. Doesn't think that should be a thing that is done. But well, still, who knows? It's something that there could be a possibility right now with the pause feature in the game as it presently is. And well, I thought it was pretty interesting here from Parasite as well, throwing in the challenger scene. Of course, this is what he had to say. We just looked at what he had to say a couple of minutes ago here, up against well, the Dallas Empire and their struggles as a team at the present time. I'm not exactly sure what they do. Of course, there are some very talented assault rifle players, especially in the challengers region, but it doesn't seem to me that really it's the ARs that necessarily they need. We've seen some questions with the whole Awakening Sky stuff. Could Awakening and Crim work? Do they need another SMG apart from ILLey? I'm really not sure what you do with this team right now. It's tough to say. The names on theory are there, but they just can't put it together. With other teams improving, Dallas have to do something, I would imagine, pretty drastic if they want a decent chance of winning the World Championship. But intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
Rambo, head coach of Dallas Empire, gave me a call, and he wants to do an episode where it's just me, him, and Ben, where we talk about Huke and kind of why they made the change and how it all fell apart.